Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Jaquetta here. Hey, we are getting ready to get our minds prepared for an all new season of the Braxton. And far more than just a television show and people you see on television. Trina Braxton has quickly become one of my dearest friends. I like to also liken her to being like family to me. Hey Tree.
Hey, love. And of course, you know the feeling is mutual. You are my sister from another mister. I love you to pieces. And
I
before we
love
even
you
get
too.
started, I'd just like to thank you for being that person who always encourages me through every course and sector of my life. But we'll get into that later. But I just want to
Yes.
start by saying thank you for always being
You're
that
so
person.
You're welcome. So since we've started with that, why don't you tell me why? Why is that important for you to say and let people know?
Because I think as we get a little older, those true friendships start to dwindle away. And I think the reason for that is your eyes become open the more uh, uh, you allow yourself to. Because
Hmm.
sometimes we're just so used to absolving everyone's behavior. We put the scales over our eyes just because of who we want them to be in our lives. But who you
Hmm.
want someone to be and who they actually are two different things. So at this point in my life, I come to value those people who I see as true friendships and not just seasonal.
You so much for saying that. I appreciate it. Because much like you, the older I have gotten, the more I realize that just because call somebody friend, and maybe I also realized too, the level and the depths of friendships that I needed when I was younger has drastically shifted in my 50s and now, and kind of really seeing the world, no blinders on, really seeing people, no blinders on, really seeing family, no blinders on. Not what I want to imagine them to be, but who they actually are. And I
Mhm.
found that the more you heal, the more vision you have, and the more goodbyes that you have to, or barriers or boundaries that you really have to ensure to make sure that your own mental capacity is safe. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly.
Let's talk about your hair first of all. We're going to do something so silly and little because I know that you did the sister locks, right? And I remember
Yes.
first seeing you with them when we were headed to Wanda's bachelorette gathering. So, what made you want to do the sister locks, and how do you feel about them now?
Well, I am not really great at maintaining my own hair. I never have been.
Hmm.
And I've always worn it natural. Like I hadn't had a relaxer in over, what, 15, 20 years. And so since I was already doing it, and something, this just for Trina's experience, it just seems like without going to the salon, every 2 weeks, whatever happens, my point of demarcation was just really bad. It was just always snapping off. Like on a quiet night, I look at my pillow, my hair's on there. I said, I have to do better.
Yeah.
And a girlfriend of mine, you might know her. I'm going to drop her name just because she started me on this journey. Her name is Demetra McKinney.
Oh yes,
And
Matri. Yeah.
yes, she has sister locks. And when I saw her, I was like, yes, this I can do this. I can maintain this. And when you get a hairstyle or go into a hair journey like getting sister locks, you have to dedicate yourself to it.
Yeah.
It is truly a journey. It has different phases, like any relationship that you ever had in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had to learn
Yeah.
to, in embracing my hairstyle, I started embracing myself and being okay with who I truly am. And I think India Irie said it best when she said, I am not my hair. That is just one facet of who I am. And it's just, and after I stopped allowing other people to try to make choices for me when it came to my body and my life, I have
Hmm.
become more and more okay with my journey.
That's good. And it's so funny because I sent you my friend Renee Seiler, who also used to do television news for the CBS affiliate, and CBS the network. And I was showing you how her sister lock started and where they are now. So I was hoping to, give you inspiration to keep moving and keep going in regards to your sister locks. And finally, I will also say I thought it was such a sweet question when you asked me, how do you not get and I'm paraphrasing, but what's the word? How do you not get, how did you ask it? Basically, how do you not get worried or have issues with people asking you about your hair, meaning you were asking me about mine?
Mhm.
Because my hair's been natural ever since 2007 when I lost my hair to cancer and then it grew back. And I was just like, I don't care what other people think, not anybody, about what I'm doing. And if you don't like it, then don't you do this. But for me, for so long, much like you, I had an image of what I was supposed to look like on television, particularly being, doing television news for so long. And we had to have a certain kind of image. And then after you encounter something that makes you fight for your life, hair and hair quality and style becomes this big. And so, and I like my hair. I like my natural hair. I like that it's so much
And it's
more.
lovely. And the
It's
color is amazing.
Thank you. It's a gel, so I love playing around with that too. Okay, so let's switch and talk about the Braxtons because
Hmm.
it's a new season that's
Yes.
happening. And how do you feel about the new season?
Ooh, right now, that's actually a double entendre. It's a new
Ah,
season for the television show, and it's a new season for us as sisters.
mm-hmm,
We have encountered and are encountering something in a space where we've never ever been before. And with this new terrain that we seem to be traveling through, um, that big B word just keeps coming up. Boundaries. And sometimes they hurt. But in order for a person to grow individually and collectively, you need to set those boundaries because you can't have the same boundaries you had when you were a child
mm-hmm,
at 50.
absolutely.
Something has to change.
So, how does it feel with the new boundary and the new terrain that you mentioned that you're on? Is it comfortable? Is it uncomfortable? Is it an adjustment?
First, eat all the above, but more than anything, it's discomfort because
Mm-hmm,
we are so used to being such a large presence in each other's lives. And this is not about a man or a woman or an outside relationship. It has everything to do with our relationship and what boundaries are we willing to set and where we want to place things as far as importance in our lives. It doesn't mean that you are unimportant, but just like our parents had their own family, we have to be able to receive each other in a space where we have our own family. It doesn't mean that we're not the same part of our parents' families, but we've gathered our own traditions. We've gathered the things that we want to teach and instill in our own children based on the things that we've seen or didn't see while we were growing up. But because it's not going to be in line with what you feel like we will continue to do and walk out into our own space, you can't be upset about that. Because
mm-hmm,
I don't need your permission.
mm-hmm,
I don't even need you to like it. I just need you to respect it.
mm-hmm. One
And I
thing I
think
noticed,
respect is the big word that no one uses when it comes to boundaries. Respect someone else's boundaries.
right? And I noticed the promo that has been, well, one of several, and one of them is specifically a scene with Tony, you, Tawanda, and Tamar, and you can clearly see that things got heated to the point where Tamar appears to be throwing or smashing a glass that spews water in your direction and Tawanda's. And I know that family dynamics and people can get heated, but what does that say about the ages that you are now? Still physically, and a family member still wanting to display that kind of anger physically and not being able to use their words or something. Something is wrong when you're this age and you still want to behave in that way, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And see, and this is one of those difficult questions because people release hurt, anger. You don't know what other kind of discord is happening in their lives. And sometimes, and I'm not saying to speak ill of my sister, my baby sister, but that's part of the problem. I just said she's my baby sister. She's my youngest
She's a
sister.
grown woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's part of the problem. For
Hmm.
so long, she's been the baby, and now she just needs to be the youngest. And so when you are used to being able to exhibit certain behaviors and they have gone um, absolved, people absolve behaviors. I'm just going to put it that way. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you're used to it happening, like if it's a kid, if they're used to kicking and screaming in the middle of the hall, and their mom say, "Okay, okay, you want a chocolate bar?" They're never going to stop. You
Mm-hmm.
know what? You're not going to get a chocolate bar. You're going to have accountability for your behavior, especially at your age. You put your big boy panties on, not big boy panties, but you understand what I mean. Big boy
I know what you
pants
mean.
on,
Uh-huh.
and you have to exhibit a behavior that matches who you say you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Pick one.
Mm-hmm. Have you had to do no contact with some members from your family or
At
low
times,
contact?
at times, I can't allow your feelings to supersede mine.
Mm-hmm.
And as adults, we're always gonna, come back together. But sometimes things take time. Words are like weapons. They wound sometimes. And sometimes it
Yeah.
takes a while for that wound to heal. It doesn't mean it's not going to heal, but right now it's still in the healing stage. So in that phase, you gotta let it grow. You gotta let it grow. You gotta let it grow. Because if you don't stop it, put it at a head, create those boundaries, you're gonna have an open wound that just never heals. Because there's nothing to mend. Where is it? Where's the band-aid? Where's the
Mm-hmm.
peroxide?
Mm-hmm.
Let it heal. Let it heal. You can't just sweep it under the rug. That's part of the problem. Everything's just been so swept under the rug. Address it with the right people. I don't need to go and talking to somebody about somebody else. No, I can't address it with the wrong person. We can only heal if I address it with you because you're the one that hurt me. You're the one that I have to explain. You know what? It hurt my feelings when.
You also have to have somebody to do too, though, that you know that it's safe and who will understand the fact that I need to address this with you and mature enough and can see their view and your view and come to some place in the middle. It's very difficult trying to do that with somebody who is unwilling to see.
Well, while that statement is true, you also can't give that opportunity for a person to say, "Oh, well, I didn't know." The reason they didn't know is
Hmm.
because you didn't tell them.
Hmm. So, what is your relationship with now with all of your sisters?
Like any sisterhood, sometimes you rhyme slow, sometimes you rhyme quick. It's like, we're like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Um, but we're a family and we love each other, but we hurt each other's feelings.
Hmm.
And I'm going to be honest, right now to this day, are my feelings still hurt about certain things that you all will be able to see as the season unfolds? My feelings are still hurt, and I'm still dealing with
Hmm.
the pain of those feelings for me.
Hmm.
Um, doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means I'm not ready.
Hmm. It's interesting to me too, though. When you because I think about Tracy quite often,
Mhm.
and particularly when she passed away. You would have thought that that would in some way bridge the gap with your family, your sisters, and hopefully mended some things because of
The rest of this
realizing how.
interview is exclusive on Patreon.